Welcome to Wildcard Reads. I'm Wildcard Angel, and we are halfway through the month of June. So today we are going to go over the 6 books that I've read so far during the month of June. Starting off, we have The Cemetery of Untold Stories. The Cemetery of Untold Stories is exactly what the title says. It is an actual cemetery where an author who is a published author takes all of her stories that have not been published and she wants to bury them in a cemetery. So she buys land in her homeland and moves back there so that she can bury these stories. Throughout the book, there are many different stories told, and while it is touching, the stories do deserve to be told, it didn't really draw me in the way I wanted to, so I did end up giving this book 3 stars. But there is also a magical element to it. It's not exactly a magical story, but within the cemetery, the stories start to tell themselves. So that's pretty interesting. But again, I kind of had to push myself to get through the book. It maybe just wasn't for me. I would say still check it out. Definitely still check it out if you're interested in it, because reading is subjective, and that's the great thing about reading. Something that I think might be 3 stars, you could think is 4 or 5 stars. Next, we have Seasons. This was such a beautiful book. Now, this is a nonfiction book, and I absolutely loved it. So the author Maria Koval actually tells us about her journey through being a young woman and then becoming a mother and dealing with anxiety and depression and postpartum and all of the challenges that are often not talked about when it comes to being pregnant and postpartum. I personally struggled with a lot of the same things and was definitely able to relate to this story. If you are an expecting mother or think you might be a mother someday, definitely pick it up, because while some people have wonderful pregnancies, some people have wonderful experiences after their pregnancies, let's be honest, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. And this book definitely sheds a light on that, and it is a beautiful story of how she overcame that and how no matter what you're going through, no matter what the struggle is, never be afraid to ask for help when it's really needed. And just know that whatever you're going through will pass. I definitely gave this book 5 stars. I absolutely loved it, and I would recommend it to anyone, even if you're not a woman and you want to understand what women go through. Pick this book up and give it a read. Small Town Big Magic. It's about a girl who works in a small town bookstore, and it's extremely cozy. This bookstore has been passed down throughout generations of women in her family. This woman does not realize that she's a witch. Shortly into the book, she does find out, as well as all of her best friends that she's had her entire life are witches as well. There are so many twists and turns in this story, and you get to find out why she didn't know she was a witch. Very interesting to find that out, and why her sister actually left town. It wasn't her choice per se. I definitely recommend reading this. There is some romance in it, a slight little romance, but it is closed door romance. I gave this book 5 stars. I absolutely fell in love with the characters. I fell in love with the town, and 100% plan on finishing this series. The Wren and the Holly Library. Oh my goodness. Okay, this is definitely a fantasy, and I had no idea where this story was going, and I gave it 4 stars. It was incredible. I absolutely love the main character. She's spunky. She is a thief that is it's our world, but our world has had monsters and myths unleashed upon it. We're talking vampires, I believe there were werewolves, there's magicians or warlocks. Pretty intense. And the human world almost collapsed entirely when all of these monsters were unleashed. They did end up making a treaty and there are rules that each humans and the monsters have to follow. But the main character in this book doesn't care too much about those treaties because, like I said, she lives on the edge and she's a thief. She goes into the Holly Library to steal something very valuable for a client. It actually gets caught. This guy that catches her, oh my goodness. I don't know why, but it definitely gives me like Beauty and the Beast vibes for sure. It doesn't have a lot to do with Beauty and the Beast though. Don't go into this thinking that it's a retelling because it's definitely not. It just gave me the Beauty and the Beast vibes. There is twist after twist in this story. I feel like if I say too much about this book, I'm going to just ruin it for you. But I highly recommend you checking it out. Definitely read it. If you like fantasy, if you like magic, if you like a story that you have no idea in the beginning where it's going to end up at the end, definitely pick up the Wren in the Holly Library. The Keeper of Hidden Books. In this story, prepare yourself. If you've got to like historical fiction first off, and I love historical fiction. I actually gave it 4 stars. It is a beautiful story. It is a story that definitely deserves to be told. It is about a group of ladies in Poland right before Germany invades. It's right before the German occupation that happens in Poland, and I absolutely love the story. I absolutely love these ladies. They run a library. Throughout the occupation, they are doing everything they can to try to save and protect their families and friends. They're doing everything they can to save and protect the books that are being pulled from the shelves and being burned. They are actually risking their lives for these books so that others can hear the stories because they deserve to be told. There is some romance throughout this book, but not much. You can't really focus on romance when going through something like this. It really sheds a light on the struggle that people went through during this time and the risks they were willing to take to save their friends and their families. It was a beautiful story, and I highly recommend you checking it out. The 6th and final book I read was Big Little Spells. Now, this is the 2nd book in the series following Small Town Big Magic. Big Little Spells, it switches the narrator from the older sister in the first book to actually have the narrator being the younger sister. We get to know more about the younger sister who had moved away, and we get to see her personality, which honestly, I relate more to her personality. The older sister is more put together, more organized, and the younger sister is a rebel. Like, straight up, the younger sister is a rebel, even though she wasn't allowed to practice any magic after being exiled. She's into all the new age witchy kind of stuff, so she doesn't practice any actual magic. But during this book, I can't say much because if I say, then you're going to know what happened in the first book. But during this book, they're definitely coming more into their powers. There is romance. There is an age gap because there is a warlock. But within the age gap, let me just say that the immortal, like he is immortal, he never had anything to do with the younger sister when she was a teenager. They never had any romantic thing when she was underage. I don't think it's too much of a spoiler because very early on you realize that there's some sparks between the younger sister and the immortal very early on. And keep in mind, all of these people are in their 20s, close to their 30s. I absolutely love this book. I almost gave it 4 stars because of the age gap, because usually age gaps really bother me, and honestly it did at first. But by the end of the book, I decided this was definitely a 5-star read, and I absolutely loved it. Thank you guys for watching. That is all 6 books that I've read so far in the month of June. Be sure to like, comment, share, hit all the buttons, and I'll see you in the next one.